Today we're going to go through an assembly video for the YoraHome 6060 SilverBack CNC machine, and we're going to go through step by step and make this simple as possible. You can see I've got pretty much everything laid out. You've got your side rails, you've got your front and back, your bed supports, your drag chain support, your Z-axis, your other adapter, spindle adapter, you have your brackets, we've got the gantry, your spindle, control box. I've got, you're going to have a bag of screws, an M5, M3, different things, so forth. I always separate mine out. This all these are here is just bags of screws, brackets, bunch of stuff you have, so you can lay them all out. You've also got your drag chain here put together, pretty much, and you should have 2 of these spool boards, which we're going to put on, and you probably have a couple other things like power cord, USB, 2 wrenches, some bits, stuff like that. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through piece by piece. We're going to go through the bed. I'm going to remove everything, put on just the pieces that are for that section. We're going to actually follow right through the video, or right through the manual, just so that we don't stray from that, and go from there. So let's get started and let's put our machine together. All right, everyone. So the first step we're going to do is the bottom frame. Really simple. You've got your the one that's labeled Y2 motor. These are the side frames. This is Y1, and then you have your front and your back. Excuse me, you're going to see, I have these little clips on mine already, only because I've already stuck them on there, but I'll show you towards the end. You should get some of these in your bag, and they're for the back step, limit switch going across the back, or Y motor switch, or wire. So anyway, just ignore these right now. This is just my little camera thing. I've got my M5 screws. They are what are they? The N5 times 20 screws, 16 lock washers and 16 washers. And we're going to do this from the side so that you can see, so I'm not in the way of you're looking behind me and I'm in the way. So if you have any problems, raise your hand. Just kidding. So first thing is, if you're looking at it from, everything I'm going to do is from this direction right here. So that's going to be the back of the machine, and this is going to be the front of the machine here. So on this left side of the machine, you're going to want the one that says Y motor 1, and you're going to see it has the limit switch brackets here, the stops. And remember, this is going to be on the left side of the machine. So then this is going to be on the right side, and it should say Y2. This is your the Y2. This is your side bracket here, and the motors are towards the back of the machine. Then you have your front frame, and you have your rear. Here. So this is actually pretty easy. First thing to do, let me just turn this around so you can see right here. I might do some of it sideways actually. What we're going to do is you're going to pretty much just put this inside, just like that. And then what you're going to do is there's 4 holes here. They're going to go in those 4 screw holes here. And that's pretty much it. And I'll show you one other thing. You need to make sure this is lined up, but let's get the screws in first, and I'll show you this one on the front, and then we'll go through and do the other ones pretty quick. So you got a screw, lock washer goes first, then your washer, and then that goes in, and I would say hand tighten it. Yeah, there you go. Hand tighten it. This is the M5. You got your M5 Allen wrench. Like I said, don't tighten it tight. So I'm going to put all 4 in there. Let's do that, and then I will show you what you have to look for here. There's another one. It's just pretty easy, the whole thing, to be honest with you. Don't let it intimidate you if it looks hard. It's not. Same thing, screw, lock washer, flat washer rather. Get it in there. Okay, I got them in there. So Let me just put them in a little bit. So one thing you need to do is, you're going to notice here that, see how your frame can actually go out past that, and you don't want that. It needs to be exact flush there. So I'm going to slide it in until it is perfectly flush there, and then I'm going to tighten these up. Snug this one down, I'm going to snug this one down, and this one. Same thing here. Okay, so that is the front, and you're going to do the same thing with this side. You're going to pretty much just bring this in. You're going to do, put the 4 screws, and also again, don't forget it needs to be flush with this back end here. Whoops, I'll spin the table in a minute, but that's exactly what we're doing. And if you want, just to look one more time here for you, I'm going to unlock this, hold on. Perfect. So you can see right here, this is flush, and I got the 4 screws, and you just need to do the same thing on this end here that we're going to do. Don't mind my my little screen here. So pretty much same thing. I'm going to do lock washer, washer. Whoops. Put it in the frame there. Perfect. And again, you're going to make sure it's perfectly flush right here before you tighten these up. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in. Quite a few of them. Get the wrench, turn it down and make sure it's flush. Looks good. Snug it in. Okay, so that is the front. You've got the flush here, you got 4 screws in, it's good. So we're going to do the exact same thing with the back. I'm going to turn this back around. Trying to get you in view here. Okay, I'm going to put my screws together. Same thing here. Lift this, maybe go under here, lift it up, slide it under. Again, you're putting 4 screws in, it's going to be flush right up here. Hopefully you can see that. Missing one. Okay, so I'm just going to take one of them and get them most of the way in. And then I'm going to make sure that this is flush. It is right there. I'm going to tighten one of them in to set it really good. And then I'm going to tighten up the others. Make sure they're pretty tight because, you know, this is your frame. And we have the lock washers there so that it doesn't come undone by, you know, with any machine that has vibration and movement, it's, you know, bound to come loose at some point. Hopefully not, but it's the nature of the beast, unfortunately. Okay. All right, same thing here. Looks like I'm going to have an extra lock washer, and so I always say whenever you have extra parts, I have put them in one of your little baggies and save it for later, because sometimes we realize something we missed and you may have to go back and put something back in place. So this one, and also if you make sure it's kind of flush, that's how you know the holes are kind of lined up anyway. So that's kind of a it's a good sign or a good thing right there. Oops. This is my little screen to know if you guys can see what I'm doing or not. Sort of. Get in there. There we go. Okay. Same thing. Make sure it's flush. Perfect. And then tighten up the others. Pretty snug. Make sure you crush that split washer. That's what's going to hold it together. It's not allowed to come out. Okay. Take your extra part, put it in your little baggie. That is the bottom frame. So we've got, oh, you make sure here you're good. There you're good. So we've got your left side, right side. This is your Y1 motor, your Y2. You can tell because when you're looking straight at it, when you're looking at it from the front here like I am, you've got your limit stops right here, and limit switches here. So that's how you know you're right. Don't forget, make sure you've got everything tightened up, all pretty. Everything's pretty. One thing I want to see here. Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention that I didn't mention is on the top here, make sure that you have the ones where the screw holes, the threads are facing up. So on the top of this one, the threads are facing upward. So if they're towards the bottom, then you have it upside down. So check that, which you probably, yeah, you actually could. So make sure that the screw holes are upward. Should have went that first, but if you did, just take it back off, flip it over, and put it back in. No big deal, easy peasy. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to put the bed rails in. So what we did now, we've upgraded it and did an add-on with some bed rails. So let me grab them and show you what we got. So what these are is they're going to go right here, one in the center, and then one on the end. And pretty much this one's going to be dead center of your spoil boards. This one, the stuck one, is going to be your spoil board's going to come right over to the edge, right on the edge of it. And then same thing, this one's going on that side. And the reason being is so that it gives your bed support. So we're going to mount these on the inside. And then, you know, this one here is going to be dead center of your spoil board. So it's going to be, your spoil board is going to rest on each side here. And you're just going to make it much more firm. So I'm going to grab all my parts. We'll come back and put this one together. Okay, so what we have is we have your L brackets. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And we've got your M5 times 10 screws. Whoops. And the little T-nuts that come with it. And that should be in the same bag. We got a bunch of those. So what we're going to do, how this works is pretty much all we're doing is we're going to put T-nuts. Actually, if you just put it on there a little bit, it'll actually slip right through that bracket. It'll actually go right through it. So you don't even need to thread it through. It'll actually just fit right through there. So that might be easier for you. But what we're going to do is get your other Allen wrench, and let me just put this in here to show you. It's pretty simple. This is all we're doing is we're going to tighten this up. You put the screw in the T nut in the slot. When you turn it, of course that's loose, and then the T nut turns and locks in there when you tighten it. And we're going to do one on each side. It's all we're doing. It's pretty simple. We're going to do one on each side, and they are going to go right here to the top there. So if I had it on the outside, if you asked me what it looked like on the outside, it would look just like this. It's on the top slot. Whoops, my finger in the way. It's on the top slot like that. So they're going to go in the top one like that. It's going to go in the top just like that. So we're going to basically just put 2 here, 2 on that end, 2 on this end, 2 on that, and then that's it. It's just a little bit, you have to get finagly. You could get a little frustrated with it because it's can be a little bit of a pain, but I'll show you some different tricks with it. So let's try a couple here. I got that one on. Let's see what the easiest way to do this is. I did another video on this, but there's always better ways. I find it's easier to put it in there. I should let it fall through like that, and then put it on there, tighten it, whoops. Tighten it so it's flush, but I think I found that I couldn't get it in there, yeah, like that. You have to almost loosen them. The table's moving on me, hold on. Yeah, so you got to do one end first, but that's on there. So if I take this, I got them on that end. If I put it down here in the center roughly, and then I just push this and pull this with my hand, and it kind of just drops right in. And then now you have no choice but to do it this way with it on there, which is still pretty easy. So I'm going to put it in that. I'm going to drop it through. My big fingers. Actually just goes right in. And then I'm going to put it up against, so you can see my arm here, I'm going to put it up against it in the frame here. I'm going to put the lock washer, I'm going to lift this up, slide it right up so it's flush, and then tighten it up real fast so that the screw locks into the rail. And so it's going to be just like that. Just like that. Make sure it's flat. Here we go. And if it's not right, just loosen it a little bit, just very, very little bit, and then slide it like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then we're just going to put screws in the frame. That's it. And we're going to do that for all of them. This is going to give you really, really good bed support. Again, goes right in there. I'm going to put it on the top there, put my Allen wrench to hold it in place, slide it up, spin it so it locks in real fast, and that's it. It's locked onto the rail, so now we just have to put screws here to hold it dead center, and I don't like how that one is, so if it's not all the way forward, go ahead and loosen it, pull it forward, and then retighten it. And these are important steps because this is the bed, this is what's going to be, your main support. Now, I don't know how you want to do it. If you want to measure and mark it halfway of what it would be, probably wouldn't be a bad idea, because you're going to want it halfway, exactly where the spoil board's going to be. And it's easy to move later, just loosen it to move it later. So what you do with the next ones is, let me see here. Best way to do it would be to measure. Let's do that. I already have my mark right here, so 13.25. So that's 26.5. So I would say about 13, whoops. I'm measuring from inside here to inside here. Let's see. And I've got 26.75. So that's going to be, 13.3/8. want to mark mine at 13 3/8. So that's where I'm going to put the center of my rail. And yours should be about that. I would definitely measure it and mark it. It should be very much about that. So now, when this is sitting inside here like this, all I'm going to do is slip this right inside there. And it's going to go right inside the rail, and I'm just going to tighten it. Really simple. Let's see. I'm going to slip it right in the slot. If it doesn't go in, kind of wiggle it into the rail up and down. Whoops. There you go, right in. And then just tighten it up. And that's it. It's tight. Except I didn't put it right on the center mark. Right there. And then that's it. So you're going to do the same thing for this side. Here's another one. I'm going to slip it right in. Boom. Spin it, and that's it. Now I'm not going to speed this video up until I do the back side, so you can see me do the ones back there. And then we'll pump through the other ones. Same thing if you want to measure back here. Yeah, that's the same. Yep, and I got 13 3/8. Yeah, so mine is 13 3/8 inches is where my center mark is on mine, on both front and back. So in this case, I'm going to move this over to where it should be. And again, you just slip that in, wiggle it around if it won't go all the way in right. And I'm going to hold this over to where it should be. And I'm going to tighten it, if it would let me tighten it, like that. Same thing here. I'm going to put it right inside the little hole there. So if it won't, you may have to like push it up or down, wiggle it or something to get it. There we go. In there. And then spin it fast to make sure that that T-nut turns. And that's it. That's what you do for that. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. Now this one, just so you know, what I did was I measured 1.5 inches from, let me do this here so you can see me right here. 1.5 inches from the silver frame here. So if you measure here, 1.5 inches and put a mark, that's going to be the outside edge. Let me show you over here so you can see better over here in this one here. Let me make sure that you can see what I'm talking about here. Because this is, I mean, and again, it's always, you can adjust them again later. It's really not a big, that chaotic thing here. So I'm going to measure from this metal frame right here, this metal frame, the bottom. I'm going to measure 1.5 inches, put my mark. I already have a mark there, but I'll mark it again for you. If you can see it. And then that's where this edge, the outer edge, is going to land. Oops. And that was my measurements for your spoil board. It should land right on it. Now, if we put the spoil board on and it doesn't land right there, it's honestly really not a big deal. It's still going to support it no matter what. But if you want it perfect, you could just lift it back up and move it over a little bit or whatever you want to do. As long as it's under the spoil board, that's what's most important. So measure 1.5 inches, put it there. Same thing, do the brackets. Might be a little bit of a snug area because you're closer to the rails here. You have to go from the outside here to do the ones back here, which is still not that big of a deal. But I'm going to do those right now. I'm probably going to speed this up for these because it takes a little bit longer because it's just a little bit closer. So go ahead and do that and then come back to me. Okay. Now, if you find that it doesn't want to go on the ends here, it's because there's a little lip here that needs to go over. So, not having a good time here. Just have to loosen them and let them slide in a little bit. It's not being nice to me. And then, jeez. Unfortunately, I don't know of a super easy way to do this. Easier, let me rephrase that. Just because that's just the way the brackets are. Oh my goodness. It wants to fight with me today. Same thing here. If you have any issues with it, just loosen them up and then try different other ways. Like this here, now it's going to go right in, making sure that my left edge right here. Same thing here. Okay. This here, make sure that these are good, these are good. So now I'm going to put one in frame. Once you get the first one started, it's not so bad. They're not always friendly. Let's see. This one's the fun one because the rail's in the way. Again, just kind of finagle it in. There we go. Once you get it in, kind of spin it, and that's it. Tighten it up. I mean, if you have to, you could put something under this to lift it up so you can access it a little bit better. That's entirely up to you. You know, whatever's easier for you. Sometimes getting the, lifting up, getting other things out of the way. Basically, now I'm just going to put these into the rail. Again, bring it up and down if you have to get that in there. They don't always go right in, as you can see. Oh, mine's not even turned in. Just gotta make sure it's on that angle. Come on. There we go. You can do it. Get the heck in there. There we go. Okay, I'm going to pull that a little bit. Okay, that one. Here we go, who's in there? This is probably the hardest part of the whole thing, to be honest with you. I'm not kidding either. All right, so clearly I'm going to have to loosen these a little bit to get it in the rail there, unfortunately. Loosen one. Yeah. Darn it. And you keep coming out. Guess I should say put it in first before you put these on. Yeah, that might be a little easier. Put them on first before you put these inside here. Alright, this, and this. Don't forget your 1.5 inch mark. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this side while I'm here. Do the outer one first, or the inner one rather. I'm going to slide it over to the 1.5 inch mark. I'm going to tighten it. Perfect. Next. Here. There we go. Emma. There we go. Okay. So if you notice, it was loose. My first one did not actually spin in the T-nut grip onto the rail. So what I'm going to do is unscrew it, back it off, and then spin it real fast. And that makes the T-nut spin when you it has to be loose enough. And then what you're doing is you're spinning it so that T-nut spins inside the frame, and then it pulls it tight. So that's why you spin it fast. And if you tighten that in and you notice it's still moving, then that's why it didn't do it. So you just unloosen it enough, not all the way out, but enough, and then spin it fast. Okay, and down here, I didn't even speed up the video. And there's that one. So that one didn't either. So I'm going to unloosen it enough and then spin it real fast. Didn't do it. Oh, nope. Loosen it and spin. Come on. Come on, baby. Now it could be because it might be too far away. So if you have that problem, unloosen this a little bit and pull this bracket closer to the frame so that it's close enough, because this screw needs its length. Yep. There you go. That was it. There you go. I needed a little more distance. So if you have that issue, just maybe loosen this and move a little more towards the frame, whatever way you're going. All right. Oops. Let me see. And I'm using 2 different Allen wrenches, just ignore that. All right, now this. Come on. Come on. Oh, I'm not even in there. I'm not even close. There we go. Spin that. Same thing. Okay. So there you go. That is the frame, the braces, everything for the bed part, and next we're going to put on the spoil boards. So we'll come back and do that. Okay, so now that we've got the bed frame put together and we've got the new bed supports put in, which are probably the hardest part of the whole thing. So if you've done that and after you've said a choice few words, let's move on to the spoil boards. Really simple. You got two of these. They're both the same. When you're doing it, make sure that the see the screws here, and then you have an empty or a bigger area here. Put that towards the back of the machine. And then what we're going to do is you're going to pretty much, what I had mentioned earlier about making sure these, there's screw holes in here inside this rail, making sure they're upward, that's because we're going to line these holes up with these screws. And you're going to see there's 2, 2, and then 1, 2, 2, and 1. Easiest way to do it, to make it simple, is to just put this one in first. Now if you notice, you look at what's wrong with this. So this one has the metal at the top here, and then this one has little holes here, and the metal's on the bottom. This is the correct way, and this is the incorrect way. So you're gonna flip this over, and also you'll notice is there's slots here where the screws actually go in, recessed in, and then the screws are recessed here. Not the part where the screws are up top. This is incorrect. This is the bottom of the board. This is the top of the board, and you're gonna notice there's a bigger gap up here on the board, an empty area, that goes towards the back of the machine. Just like that. The easiest way I do it, slide it a little bit, and then you have your first screw right here, your hole. Line this one up. Let me move this out of the way. Line this one up, and that's going to be our starting point. Hold on. There we go. Just don't tighten it tight. Just kind of like get it started, because we're going to want it. We don't want it to come out, but we're going to use it as our starting point to pivot. Again, I forgot to mention, this is the 12 screws of the M5 20s. M5 times 20 screws. As you can see, we put this in here, so now we could do all the others. And it takes the guesswork out of which of the other two of these. It takes that guesswork out. So what I would recommend is put one here, and then put one here. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how I'm going to set mine up. So I got one there, and I got one here. And the reason why I said don't tighten this is so that you can slide it to make sure that these others fit in good, which mine, there we go. Okay, so again, I'm going to leave this loose, and I have this one started and this one started. Now, what I'm going to do is, let me turn my table here so you can see, if you can see it, is remember we put that center rail in, and we want this board dead center of this rail. And if you look where I did measurement on mine, it's actually pretty darn good. It's actually dead center of that rail. And if you look over here, it's almost dead on the edge of the side rail. So that's exactly where I want my board. So and that's why you have a little bit of adjustment. So before I I'm going to slide these, and then that's where I'm going to want it at. But before I actually tighten these, before I move forwards, I know now this is going to work. So I don't have to take this back off and readjust my bottom frames again. So I know it's going to work, but what I want to do is go on the other end, excuse me, and put these two screws in, is what I'm going to do first. Just so that, because you notice you get a lot of play up here, and you want to make sure that you get everything before you tighten it where you want it at. So just get them started again, like I said. Oops. And now once you do that, on this end here, make sure that it's halfway, now that you're here, and tighten this one. And then now, this is how I do it, come down here, and now make sure this one's halfway, and tighten this one. And don't over tighten it, but tighten it really snug. And then now you can go ahead and tighten the other two, and then now put the center ones in. And it doesn't matter what order, because now you've got these two are anchoring the board where it should be. Come on. I think I've actually maybe pulled away from you a little bit here. Let me go put one down here. Again, tighten her down. Same thing here. Tighten her down. And now, this board should fall, ow! Watch your fingers. Should fall right in place. I'm not making any bloopers, so this is the assembly. Should fall right in place. As you can see, the screw holes here. Now, when you slide this in, you should check this edge here and make sure that your board is on the edge. Now, mine happens to be, gosh, a couple millimeters. You can see the bottom frame, and it doesn't matter. It's still on it, and it is going to be solid. So you almost stand on it. But so now you could just slide it over tight to this board, and then just put all the screws in. And I personally like to do the exact same thing. I'll start with this screw. I'll pull it over really tight. Since it has nowhere to go, I can then tighten this screw up just like I want it. And I'm putting pressure here, pushing inward, so it's going to keep it tight for me while I tighten this. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side, again, with this front screw. And everybody has their way to do it, whatever. This is my preference. I'm going to hold it tight. I built so many of these. Whoops. See, now I let go, and I did that, and I don't know if you can see it, but you see that gap? So that's why it's important that I kept that pressure on there until I was done, and I didn't. See, I slipped, and that's what happened. So now it's tight, and now it didn't come apart. So now I'm going to do the others, keep it in there secure, and that's why I do it that way. So just throw the other ones in. Okay. Piece of cake. Okay. So the next thing, let's see here, let's make sure we got this. We've got the screws, we've got this. It's nice, it's strong, tight, everything's tight, secure. Make sure you're good. And then we will go on to the next step. Okay, for this step, we're going to install the drag chain bracket. It's really simple. It's actually going to mount right on here when you're looking at the left. This is your left side of the frame. So if you're looking at, this is from the front. This is going to be the left piece. You'll know it because it's got the limit switch wire here and Y1 motor right here. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to mount right on the bottom. There's two slots here, top and the bottom. We're going to put this on the bottom, and it's going to sit so that this part here is flush with the outer frame here. So it's really simple. And it's really simple to do. You're going to have you've got the 2 of the M5 screws, and these are the square nuts. And I would say put them in. How it goes is you'll see little notches there, if you can see it. The little notches, they go, the curved end goes out. So, I can't see it, but the flare. But there's little notches in it, and they go toward the head of the screw. So I think the easiest way would probably be to put them in. Just get them started a little bit, because these actually just slide. Oops, these actually just slide right into the channel. So if I can turn this for you, if you just kind of like put it up to it and let it slide right in. Line the second one up. Come on. Let it slide right in, and that's it. That's how simple it is. And they just, you just line these up so it slides, boom, and just slides right in. Really, really easy. Once you do that, all you do is tighten them down. So I'm gonna do that again. Probably can't see it so well because of my big hands, but see it's right in there lined up, and then line the next one up. Let's see if I can show you here. Like that. Slide it right in, and then make it flush right here, and then you just tighten it. That's it. I'm going to tighten the closest one to me just because, oops, I just slid it right back out. Put my big hands in the way. Just tighten her up. Tighten the back one. Make sure they're pretty snug. And that's it. Of course, make sure it's flush right up to the front here. And that's it. All right, let's go on to the gantry. Okay, so for this step, we're going to install the gantry on top of the slides, and the steel frame part is actually going to just rest right on top of here. And you're going to need the 8 M5 screws, the M5 times 16 screws, 8 lock washers, and 8 split washers, and then 8 washers. And you basically the screw, then the split washer, then the washer. And I've already put all mine together. So one of the things you need to do to make sure is that you need to put these up. It doesn't have to be all the way halfway. Halfway's fine. They just need to be up most of the, almost to the halfway point. But they have to be the same distance, or at least pretty darn close. I like to be pretty detailed, so I'm just going to measure right to the wheel. I got 9 inches, so you just take these here. There's 2 little wheels on the back of your motors, and you'll see they're going to turn, and that's how you move them. So I'm going to put my ruler. I'm going to make sure this one is 9 inches right to the front of the green, and this one 9 inches right to the front of the green. You just turn these to adjust it, and then that's pretty good. Now, I ran into a problem, and I want you to see the problem, because if you have this issue, here's why and what you do. So this is going to mount right up on top here, but I'm going to show you if it's too tight, like mine, I can't get it. It's not enough room, and it won't go. And you don't want to force it. So what happens is, in the beginning, remember when we said this frame needs to be right up against, like right up to this here. I'm trying to move my table for you. Right here. Well, that's why these are oblong, these things, so that you can adjust them. So what I'm going to need to do is loosen these a little bit and actually pull my frame in a little bit. I mean, very, very little. But that's the point of having the oblong holes, so that you can adjust it if you have to. And so mine just ever so little bit's moving there. And same thing back here. Most of the time, it should go right on. For whatever reason, this didn't. And I'm glad, actually, so that you can see the troubleshooting steps just in case. So I just loosened it, and it's in a little bit. And so now I'm going to try and put this on again. And here, oops, and here. So now you can see it actually goes right on now. So I'm going to, whoops. For a second. I'm actually going to put one screw in there. Pull it away. I'm actually just going to put one to hold it. So I can get it in there. If yours went right in, you can ignore. Can't get mine in. Here we go. Sorry, wrong spot. If yours went right in, just ignore moving the adjustment here. Just go ahead and put the 4 screws in. But in this case, I'm going to do this here. I got one screw in here just for me to hold it. And now I'm going to take this frame and I'm going to make sure it's pushed out as far as I can push it out, hold it out, and then I'm going to tighten this up. So I'm going to just pull on it really tight, and I'm going to tighten this. Not sure why it was off that little bit, but hey, it happens, and it's a very, very easy fix. So what you're going to want is kind of take notice of the distance you have here. It's like a couple millimeter. You want pretty much the same here. If not, you know, you don't want to, so it already is going to be pretty stiff. Same thing. Just want to make sure that it's enough that if it needed to move, whoops. Yeah, oh yeah. So that's good right there. Whoops, touch. Just because you don't want this to be inward, you want to leave it outward, so you want it really close. And if you have to loosen these, just kind of like let it feel to its relaxed position. But for the most part, make sure you have the same distance here as there. Not sure why mine is like that, but it is. So there's no problem. Just kind of move it in. And then again, we're going to tighten up these four. We're going to put screws in these here. You may have to wobble it up and down to get started. I like to get all of them started before I actually tighten it. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Exact same thing. Take the four screws. We're going to put them in the four holes. You may have to move it forward, backward, or around to find its little sweet spot. Most of the time, it's exactly lining up with the little silver plate below it. The green frame actually lines right up with that, and then that's how you know where your hole is supposed to, where your alignment is. Mine line exactly up to it. These four. There we go. Now I just want to unloosen this again to make sure that if it wanted to move, it could. Yeah, it doesn't need to go anywhere. It's good. Okay. All right, so that is our gantry. Make sure it's really tight. Got that in there. Pull this up here so you can see. Got it lined. You got the four screws on each side here, or backward. Again, if you have any problems getting it to fit, you could just loosen one side, not both, just one side, and move it in a little bit if you have to. It's probably going to be so little bit if you absolutely have to. All right, so let's go on to the next step. Okay, now we're going to install the Y-axis drag chain mount and the X-axis drag chain mount and the drag chain support rail. So that's one. This is support rail. This is one mount. That's the other mount. The first one, I have this turned for you. You'll see the X motor right here. Beneath of it, you're going to see two screws right here. That is where the Y-axis drag chain mount is going to go. That is the two M4x8 screws, and then you have the bracket. One of the brackets are pretty much the same. Should have a couple different brackets in there, but these are the smaller screws, which is the M4. And then what we're going to do is get the correct wrench. And it goes so that it is, the screws go toward the bottom, and then you have the flat just at the top. I like to just flip it upside down, mount the one, at least get it started, then you could roll it over and then mount the other one. At least bringing in a little bit more than that, I guess. Let's see here. All right, and then this one is going to be the same thing, that hole. Get it started. Whoops. You should have 2 of these brackets. So that's one. So there's this one. And now you have your other drag chain bracket for the y-axis. I'm going to turn this and show you this one. And that goes right up here. So if you could see, up here you have the 2 screws, and that is the 2 M5 by 6. Where we go? M5 by 6 screws, the little short ones, and again they go same thing. This goes up here like so, and put one in, get it started, flip it over. This one started. I find it easier to put this in there and just spin this with it than get my little fingers in there, or my big fingers in there. Get that snug in. So now you've got your y-axis drag chain mount and your X, if I said them correctly. I'm sorry. This is the X and that's the Y drag chain mount part. And then now we're going to put in the support rail, which is pretty simple as well. You have your support rail. You can ignore this right now. We're going to put them on afterwards. This just helps hold this wire right here. So the plastic clip to help hold the wire up out of the way once we get it all installed. And then so it's going to go just like this. You've got the 2 hole here. You've got a bracket here and a bracket over here. And then basically you've got a hole here on here, and the screws are just going to go in there. And that's it. That's pretty simple. Get my fingers in there. Get it started. Put this one in. Get it started. And now tighten them down. Left, right. I would say just put it center. If you put your finger here, you can feel each side. Just put it center. Kind of hold it up. That's it. Make sure she's nice and tight. Don't want any loose screws. If you can't get it that way, you can kind of do it this way, but don't crank on it super hard and strip the screws out, because remember, they're just small screws and they will strip. So there we go. We got the drag chain support, both of your X and Y drag chain mounts, and now we are going to install the Z axis. I will get those together. Okay, for this step, we're going to install the your Z-axis and your spindle holder onto it. One thing I want to mention is, of course, I rolled mine forward so that I can work on it. So when you do that, you have 2 rollers on each motor back here, and you have to roll them at the same time. You can't roll just one because it needs to stay square with the frame. So you have to roll both at the same time, whatever way you're going. So I'm going to pull mine forward a little bit more, so it gives me room to work on it up front. Okay. For this one, you're going to have the M5 times 25 countersink screws, which are the black ones. They are they have like the bevel top there, and they're basically going to go into those two there and 2 there, and right into these 2 holes right here, which is really simple. This, you may need to adjust this up or down so that you can see the holes good. Just be careful of the limit switches on it, but yeah, there's the holes that are going to go. For this one, it's going to be, I would say, if you take the screw, put your screw in the hole, so it comes out the back side there, like so, and then put it right up onto it. Well, try and get it. I missed it. Hands are slippery. Pretty close. It's hard for me to do and teach this. If you look at it from the side, oh yeah, you can see it from the side. And then just get it started. Definitely a couple turns for sure. You can pretty snug it in, not snug, but don't let go because it's gonna swing on you. So grab your second screw, put it in there. I kind of like to do it this way. Put it in there and get it started in the hole before you let it go, and then this way it doesn't fall everywhere. Now I wouldn't tighten it just yet. I would get the other two screws started prior to you tightening it up. Let me turn this for you so you can see here. Just because it's going to be a little, in case one of them needs, in case it needs to move a little bit to get the screw in nice and smooth like that. The other one should just go right in like that one there. And this one's pretty easy actually. Yeah, they just fall. Now you can just tighten them in any order, it doesn't matter. Snug them in. Pretty simple. It was easier for me when I looked at it from the side to see to line that first screw up. Okay, now got our Z-axis. So now the next step is going to be the spindle holder. And this is, you need 4 of the M5 by 14 screws, these here. And all this is going to do is it's just going to mount right on the front. Really simple, it's right on the front there. Just your screws go in the 4 holes. They go in these 4 holes. And that is it. Get your other Allen wrench. Again, I like to put it in like this and then kind of line it up. Just get it started. And then get another one, put it on this one, and get it started. Now I know it's not going anywhere and I can just kind of screw them in. Again, same thing. I want to get it in there pretty far, but I don't want it all the way in because sometimes you are not, not tight. Because sometimes you need to move it to get the other screws, which, again, they should go right back in as well. Same thing here. Yeah. So once you get them all done, now you can just tighten them in any order that you want. Okay. Piece of cake. All right. We are ready for the drag chain. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so for this step, what we're going to do is we're going to install the drag chain, and I'm going to turn the table a lot so that you could see where and what I'm working, so that I'm not working over here and you go, I have no idea what you did, and yell at me. So I'm going to try and do my best to show you how to do this. It's actually pretty easy. It's a little awkward because the drag chain's pretty big. I would say lay it out on your table so that you have it this way. And the big sheathing round part goes to the back of the machine, and this one here goes first here because this is where it's going to mount right on this frame, or this bracket to this bracket. This outer one here is going to go up top, so we're just going to leave that for right now. But what we want to do is the one that has all the ending here to it, we're going to mount it first. And you're going to notice at the end of the drag chains you have brackets with 2 screws, or 2 holes in them. And that's where we're going to put 2 screws in these 2 holes. It's going to mount into this bracket. And then this here is going to roll up to here. And you also have 2 holes here. They're going to just put 2 screws in that bracket. Really simple. And that's what we're going to do first. And then if you can leave this laid down with it, that'd be fine. And we'll just ignore this top part for right now. So the first thing you're going to need is the 8 M4 little itty bitty black screws. The countersink screws are really small, and that's what we're going to use for all of this here. There's actually only 4 spots we're going to do it at. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull this to the back here. Just got to be careful with it. And we're going to take, there's 2 screws in it, or 2 holes in the bracket here. We're going to take the 2 holes here, and we're going to put the screws in there. And that'll be. I'm going to move this table a little bit so you can see, if you can see. Just gotta kind of move the wires out of the way. Again, I like to put it on there like that, but it doesn't always work that well. You gotta kind of move the wires out of the way and hold it down there so that you can see the holes. And then put your little screw in there, tighten it in, and there's the first screw in there. Probably can't see it very well. And then you're going to do the same thing with the next one. So you're going to have 2 screws in there. Oops. Just like so. Go ahead and tighten it up. Again, you don't want to over tighten. Now you can lay these wires back down. Now that you got the 2 screws into here, you can lay them back down. And then I'm going to grab 2 screws and meet you over to the other side. Here, your bracket right here, your frame, your drag chain bracket here, same thing. You got two holes here, and then your your drag chain, you got 2 holes up here, and exact same thing. So you're just going to roll this up, and you're going to put the 2 screws in right there, and that's it. Really simple. Again, just pull the wiring back a little bit so that you can gain access to the slots there. I like to put it in there first and hold pressure against it, and then get it to slide it around till I get in. Once I get in there, then tighten it in. That's there. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the next one. Whoops. Kind of make sure it's square if you can. You know, you don't want it cockeyed. So tighten this one. Okay. So that's this drag chain. It's good, good, good. Now this one is going to go up on top here. It's a little bit different, but it's still just as easy. Same exact concept. We've got 2 holes here, 2 holes here, and you've got holes on the other end. So how this is going to go is we're going to lift it up, come under the motor here, and then you kind of turn it if you have to like this. Just so, because you don't want to force it. If it doesn't go, then you don't have it the right way. Like don't turn it this way and go, oh, so it's not going, it's untwisted and all. Or it's all twisted. Then just kind of go the other way. There's no rush. And then we're just going to lay it up on there just like that, like a bed. Just lay it up on there, no big deal. And that's going to give us access to these 2 screw holes first. Now, what you're going to see is if you find it being too tight, well, it shouldn't be. You should be able to pull some back like that. Don't pull a lot. Don't pull hard because you don't want to pull them out of the other end. But you're going to need to do that to gain access, like this, and then pull it over a little bit so that you can get access to those screws are like that. So that's how I'm going to do mine. So I'm going to get this, add the little screw here, and I'm going to just get an idea of where that hole is so I can see it. I'm going to pull this out of the way, and then I'm going to drop my screw. Once you're done dropping the screw, then you fish it out of the rail, then just do it again. You got to line it up in there. And if you don't drop your screw, it's no fun. I'm just kidding. Same thing, pull this out of the way. Let's screw this one in. And that's it. I already got these 2 in there. I'm excited. Pretty easy. We're almost done. Now what I don't like is, I noticed here, see it's off a little bit here. So I'm going to unloosen this one here that I did. I tightened it. And I'm going to just push it back on a little bit if I can. So it goes, so it's like right flush with it. That's where I prefer it to be. Sorry, my arm's probably all on your way. What I was talking about was flush right here. So that's pretty good. I got the 2 screws in here. Just like that. Pull this out of the way. Now that this is there, now you can actually put it here and push it back in a little bit. You don't want to pull it too tight up that way. So you just want it loose in there. So that is that part. Now this one, I'm going to turn this again for you. Probably ready to kill me with this table, but that's okay. So now this one just rolls up, down like that. So basically what this one's going to do is, let me see if I can pull a little more here. Same exact thing. I'm going to pull these wires back. There's 2 holes here. You see there's 2 holes here. They go right into this bracket right there. And that's it. Got 2 more screws left. And I'm going to put them in. See if I can find it. Right there, there's one, went right in. Same thing with this one, like I'm holding it like that with my hand. I've done this so many times though, over my years. And then same thing, make it on there nice center, snug them down. I can't see them. I mean, what you could do is you could actually roll this back towards you if it helps you too, to get it closer to you. Just remember to roll both at the same time. Yeah, that probably would have been better to get it closer to me. But anyway, that is how that goes. And then so when this, you know, rolls that back and forth, that it this goes with it. So now all we gotta do is connect everything. Okay, now that we've got the drag chain installed, we got everything done. All we gotta do now is connect it up. I'm gonna walk you through it. It's really, really simple. No particular order. I'm gonna start with the Z-axis here. It's very simple. You have your motor wire. You've got your X limit switch wire right here, which is the small one. And then on the other side of the Z-axis is your, yeah, I know, spinning the table. You've got your limit switch here, limit switches. So basically on here, I'm going to take, your wire should be labeled. This is Z limit. So I'm going to come over and I'm going to connect this to the Z limit. It goes on only one way where the little clips clip together. And if it's a little tight, you may have to pull some wire back. If it's too snug, it should be up on top here, just so you know, not underneath. It should be up on the top. And then you have your Z-axis motor, and coming out of here, it'll say Z motor and X limit. So hook your Z motor up. And then your X limit, which I'm going to spin you back around. I'm sure you're thrilled. It's okay. And now we're going to connect up the limit switch for the X limit switches. And you see a little clip at the top there, that little clip there. That actually goes where this push part is up top here. So that's how you know. And then this will connect up to your spindle, which we'll hook up in a minute. So now, here on this side here, this is all that we have here. You've got, this is your X motor, and then this says X motor on it. So basically you're just going to connect that, pretty simple. This says Y limit, and you should have the wire under here. I can show you. There's this wire here, and then it says Y limit, and then connect that together. Now you have in there some of these little black clips. They're little, let's see if I could find one real quick to show you. When you connect up your Y limit, you're going to notice that it just kind of hangs down here. You should have gotten some of these clips in the box. I know our first batch has, or our second batch has them. What they're for is basically to just to peel off, just stick it to the back of the bottom part of your drag chain support, and so that this wire can just rest up inside there, up out of the way. Now I have mine already up on there, and when I clip it in, as you can see now, it keeps it up out of the way. So that's what these are for, and you know, there's no specific spot you have to have it, but just enough out of the way. You don't want it tight. You don't want to pull the limit switch out, so you don't want it super tight, but you want it nice and snug. And the same thing with the back here. Now we've got your two Y motors back here, and I have this wire. I'm going to move this wire out of the way for a minute. This one, your Y motor on this side. Whoops. Basically, I just have it tucked back with a zip tie. That's just me. And then clip it together. Now this one, I'm going to, I don't like all cross wire, so I'm just going to feed it. I'm actually going to feed it through that so it's nice and pretty over. Now remember I was talking about the clips. There's these here. Remember I was telling you earlier they were on my rails already. Well, just stick them on, and all they're for is so this just doesn't have to lay on the floor. That's all it is. And there's no specific place, nothing required. Just slip them in there. You can lock it in. And then again, same thing here, put it here, and then this connects up your Y2 motor. And that's it. That's pretty much it. You've got your silverback. I'm going to pull this cable up. Let's spin this around. I tell you, this makes it easy. Here. And that's what your machine should look like right there. Now, we can install the spindle while we're right here. Might as well do it. You've got your spindle. Oh, good, you can see. And then you've got your spindle sleeve. And this goes inside here. If it doesn't just drop right in there, loosen up these two screws right here. Let me get my wrenches here. If for whatever reason it doesn't, like I said, if that doesn't fit down in there, come on, out of the way. Just loosen these up until it does, drops in there, and then you drop your spindle in there. Or don't drop it in, but go like down there a little bit. I would say till it comes out the bottom, maybe about that far. That's a good starting point. And then tighten this up. Hello. Make sure it's pretty snug before you let go of it because you don't want to drop to the table. And then tighten this one up. Some of them don't want to agree with me for some reason. You can always use them this way to tighten them good. Okay, that one's coming out. And then so there you have that. Then you have your spindle motor wires, and I believe it is, yep, blue on the right, red on the left. And that's it. There you have your spindle locked in. You've got everything wired up. Everything looks good. And you should be good to go. Okay, everyone, just last step, we're going to go ahead and connect up the controller box to the silverback. Should be pretty simple. You have your USB, your power cord, and then we have your Z probe here, and then of course you have your wire or your harness that we connected with the drag chain. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this around so you can see. It's actually really simple. I'll turn my table here for you, make it a little more easier. Basically, you're going to connect up all the connections that, and they should be all labeled Y motor, X limit, everything's labeled as what they should be. You're just going to put them into the port here. They only go in one way. There's a little notch on the top of it, and then the notch is on the bottom of these here. So for example, this is the, let's just do this one here, it's a spindle. So I'm going to find the spindle, which is this one. I like to keep them all nice and neat, not all twisted up like a knot. Put it downward, turn, and it just slips in real easy, and then you tighten this up. And that's it. So we're just going to do that with all of them. They're labeled here, and they're also labeled on your wire. So go ahead and connect them up. Let's see, X limit. I got my X limit here. That one. If the screw doesn't go right on, back it back off and put it on again. You don't want to cross thread it. Go ahead and snug them up. Y and Z. My motors, motor, Y limit. Z limit. Let's see, X, Y2. Just go with the X. Pretty simple. Like that. Run this one under, then I'm going to get it all. And the Z. Okay, so that's all your connections. Now you have one left, which is the Z probe. So the Z probe, if you've not used one before, basically is you clip this onto your bit, and then the bit goes down, touches the plate here, and then it stops it, and then it knows how to zero out the machine, which I'll show you in the next video of setting this up. And you know, just get it turned on and tested limit switches and stuff like that. I'm also going to show you how to use this. One thing is go ahead and connect it up. Let's not get it twisted with the wire in here, because it's going to be something you're going to put back on your material. So go ahead and connect that up. Now, one thing you don't want to accidentally do is just, you know, have this touch this, because it will stop your your cut. So I like to just open the clip and clip it to the wire right there, just so I know it's not going to get out of hand, it's not going to hit stuff, and it's not going to accidentally, you know, stop my cut. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this back around. Well, you know, if you, not that you don't, oh, sorry, you have the power cord right here, of course, and then the USB. Let's go ahead and connect them up. Guess I should do those. Power cord, and then the USB down here. In the middle there. So I'm going to take them, roll them up from here, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn this around. Oops. Have your Z probe, don't let that fall. There we go. Put these power cord and a USB back here. Z probe here. And one thing you definitely want to double check is your e-stop button. So go ahead and push it in if it's not already pushed in. Turn it till it locks and then let it go, or till it unlocks. Click it in again, do it till it unlocks. Just so you get a feel for it, because a lot of times in shipping, if this will accidentally be pushed or whatever, you'll turn the machine on and it will do nothing, and you're going to go, oh, it's not working, blah, blah, blah. So it's probably just your e-stop button. That pretty much kills the power to the machine. It's for emergency stop. So turn it till it pops up, and that's the way it should be engaged, and that's run mode. And in an emergency, you press it down, and that stops everything. So make sure that you turn that so that it's, you know, up, and you're ready to go. And that's pretty much it. I think the next video, I'm going to show you how to test this. We're going to test the limit switches and the box control box. We're just going to make sure the spindle comes on. Just pretty much go everything, make sure it works. But okay, thank you, and enjoy. Jungle.